if you want to talk about layering, it's like a puzzle, and all the pieces have to fit perfectly. And I'll be honest with you, I've tried for years to get my layering system down just right. And I finally got to the point where I figured out what keeps me warm and what kind of temperature. Now, in the winter time, it's generally around 20 to 30 degrees. So with what I'm wearing now, I should be just fine. Now, once I up the cardio, I may have to loosen a little bit of layer here and there, you know, wear the zip tee, zip pull over, unzip it, let some air get in, let me breathe. But at the very least, I start with these base layers. Starting with the bottom, I generally start with a stretch layer of long underwear. Now this is power stretch. I actually got this, I think, at Campmore, but any place makes a good 4-way power stretch, and this is made by Polartec. Now this is gonna be smooth on one side and fleecy on the inside. So this is at least my base layer. Obviously I'm going to be wearing compression shorts or underwear if I'm racing or row gaining, so this will be my first layer over top that. Also, socks. Now these are wool socks and these are fit socks, and they're some of the best socks that I've ever worn. And to be honest, you don't necessarily need a thick, heavy wool sock. This is actually a lightweight wool sock, and I like this because in this kind of weather you're going to be wearing waterproof shoes, so they're not going to breathe as well if you have heavy wool socks. And as always, I always bring a spare pair of socks just in case. Now, as far as my pants go, I wear various types. It's always a synthetic of some sort. Now this is a soft shell. I've worn these several times before. It's stretchy, it flexes, so you're able to move with it. It's also very abrasion resistant. I don't know if you can see on the camera real well. I've been in all kinds of briars and greenbriers with these, and they've held really good. But this being a soft shell, it'll hold up for quite some time. And it is weather resistant, not weatherproof. They're not weather resistant, but you're not going to get soaked in these. So, different kinds of pants to wear. The pants I'm wearing now are nylon as well. Either a soft shell for this kind of temperature, and a lot of people wear soft shells for skiing, or a nylon quick drying pant. Now coming to the upper body, the first layer I usually wear is a long sleeve synthetic tee. Now this is pretty lightweight, and you want it lightweight because you're going to be layering, and you don't want this to be a heavy layer. So this is close to the skin, this is tight to your skin. Now generally what I do above that is I put another lighter layer above that. And what these light layers do is they trap air in between them, and it's the air is what keeps you warm. Not so much the number of layers, but the air that you can get in between the layers that'll keep you warm. And usually in temperatures like this, I'll finish off with a lightweight fleece. Now this is I think what's called a chamois fleece. It's really lightweight. I got this at Cabela's, and you know, this is what I use as my outer layer. So when I'm racing, I just have these layers on. And it's always best to have a zip layer on the outside, so that if you do get warm and you do start to sweat a little bit, zip that down so that you can take the air in and cool yourself down. Now, if the temperature gets even colder, or for that matter, if it's wet snow or it's raining, then obviously you're going to have to do one of a couple things. This is a Marmot rain jacket. This is precip material. Precip and Gore-Tex are similar. They are waterproof, and they will keep you dry. The only disadvantages to wearing a layer like a Precip or a Gore-Tex is that they don't breathe as well. Now I will show you this. I believe, yes, This has a pit zip in it, as with most waterproof membranes, and they have pit zips primarily so that you can allow air to get inside, because like I say, even though they're waterproof and they're supposed to be breathable, they still don't breathe that much. That's why the vast majority, whether it's Marmot, Go Light, North Face, any kind of Gore-Tex or Precip or waterproof membrane, usually they're going to have that membrane, or they're going to have that pit zip so that it will actually be breathable, so that you don't get stuck with all that sweat inside. Now, say for example, you're racing and it's kind of like today. It's not really, it's not snowing, the snow is dry, there's not much moisture. Then, if it's extremely cold, you might want to look into something like a lightweight anorak, and this is actually coated with a DWR material, which is basically a little bit of waterproofing, and this basically just acts as a wind jacket. So if you get a little bit of wind, a little bit of breeze, you know, it may go through the fleece, but it's not going to go through this, and this is fairly lightweight, so this is what I would suggest. Now, what do you have left? Well, you have your extremities left. Your hands, your head, and your feet. One of the things you could do is, this is called a buff. Now there are many brands that make these, and it's basically just a tubular material. Mine's actually wool, and you can use it as a head over, as a hat, as a do-rag. You can do all kinds of things with it, and it's actually pretty handy to have when it's extreme weather. Right now, I'm wearing just a stocking cap. This is a fleece stocking cap. This is just a generic one that I got at Cabela's. You can go with Head Sweats, make some really good stocking caps. I have those as well. Just anything that will keep you warm on your head is important. And for me, it's my ears. I need to keep my ears warm. One thing to remember though is, if you heat up quickly like I do, you know, you're going to let a little bit of heat has to dissipate out your head. So every so often you might want to take your hat off, let your head breathe a little bit. Gloves. What I'm wearing right now are Polartec gloves. These are the 100 weight, depending on the temperature, 100, 200, or 300 weight. If it's around 0, 300 weight. If it's in between the teens, I wear a 200 weight. Right now, I'm only wearing these 100 weight, and these are comparable to the long underwear that are Polartec as well. They're a stretch fabric, which I really like. And gaiters. If you're out in this kind of snow and this kind of weather, you need to have gaiters on, because what the gaiters do is keep all the snow, all the moisture and everything out of your boots. They keep your socks dry. So depending on whether you're wearing boots on the trail during the race, or whatever adventure sport you're doing, or even for that matter shoes. Today I'm wearing boots. Usually I'll wear a lightweight or a lower cut shoe, but I'll still wear the gaiters in weather like this. And these are actually Gore-Tex gaiters, so that I'm sure that all this snow is going to glide out and off. And you've got to make sure that you have your gaiters on properly so that it doesn't go inside the back or inside the front. I've had that problem before with lighter gaiters, shorter, more running gaiters, that if I didn't have a tight seal in between the boot or the shoe and the gaiter, snow would go up and in, and I would still get wet socks and I would still get cold, and it just wasn't a good situation. I still had to change out my socks, so the situation didn't work either way. Footwear, like I said, today I'm wearing boots, but a lot of times in weather like this, I may even wear a shorter cut Gore-Tex shoe because it's lighter weight. But I always make sure that it's either Gore-Tex or waterproof, because when you're in this kind of weather, you don't want the snow saturating your shoes or your boots and then your feet are getting wet. If your feet get wet, you're going to be miserable. So this is essentially the layering system that I use. All these are synthetics, but lately I've been switching over to natural fibers like wool. I have the wool socks, but I also am starting to integrate, wool pullovers, wool zip tees, other wool base items into my racing system so that, it's a natural fiber. And wool actually stays drier than synthetic materials, and wool also will keep you warm when it's wet, and that's important. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching this video and listening to what I have to say about your layering system. You probably have a similar layering system that you've been wearing for years, and hopefully it works for you. But if not, give this a try. Once again, I'm Todd with COAR, and this is the winter version of Mandatory Gear.